Welcome to EM Healing, which is hosted by myself, Mahatma Starseed. And when you dive into our episodes, you are going to be inspired to grow, to shift, to reflect on your inner wealth. If you are looking to find a new way of living, you have found it. So enjoy this wonderful episode that we're tuning into right now. Great day, great day. Welcome to all those that are tuning in. You are tuning into the next dynamic episode of season 3, EM Healing. This season, it's all about bonding. We're directing our focus. We are narrowing in on what it is to heal in our journeys. And so today I have with me our co-host who is guesting the stage to help open up our conversation, Suzanne. I'm going to let her fully introduce herself. Please, Suzanne, share with the audience who you are and what you're doing here.
Thank you so much for having me. So my name's Suzanne. I'm joining you from Sydney, Australia, which is the future. Never gets old. Yes. And an author, a healer, and the Nope coach, as in NOPE, because I believe we say yes to keep the peace, and then we start a war within ourselves. So it's reclaiming our no, because I believe we should be saying no more often. As I said, I live in Sydney. I have 2 awesome kids and a husband. I love how he makes it after the kids. And yeah, I'm known to be mischievous, unfiltered, and irreverent. Fasting is the way to go for me.
Thank you so much. And I would love to share with the audience the quote that you mentioned in the email that you sent, because I absolutely love it. And I'm going to really speak on it more. And the quote is, "Trauma creates change that you don't choose. Healing is about creating change you do choose." And this was written by Michelle Rosenthal. Did I say that right? I'm not sure, but we will see down the line. I'm usually pretty good at messing up someone's name, so
Same.
But Michelle did a great job wherever you're out there. Great job with that quote, because that is truly true. Trauma, is a situation that a lot of us don't specifically put our hand up and say, hey, choose me, trauma. Today is my turn. No. However, once, we go through those situations, we often see a lot of people raising their hands and saying, hey, I am so complete with feeling this traumatic experience. Please help me find a way to heal. Help me to see a better light. And so today's conversation is really near and dear to my heart. As a working professional with children, there has just been such a very big lost in translation topic about I'm always busy. I don't have enough time in my day, and I can't seem to catch my breath and satisfy everyone at the same time. So I want to really open up this conversation and hear a little bit more about your story. I can share a little bit of mine as well. And how has your business journey been for you?
Oh, I love how you said busy, unable to satisfy everyone at the same time. So whenever I catch myself saying I'm busy, and I literally did this just with my VA, I was like, I haven't got back to you because I've been busy. And I caught myself in that moment, and it was like, actually, this hasn't been a problem. not to say she's not a priority. Like, I think sometimes if you said, oh, this is not a priority, that would insinuate, or, you know, people might make that mean. Of all the things that I have been focusing on this week, this hasn't been my priority. And I think for many of us, we have differing priorities. Like, I know my children never prioritize. I was going to say we have differing priorities. Prioritize eating their vegetables or, you know, cleaning their room. But sometimes when we don't prioritize, they become a priority. Like, I'm just thinking of an example. If you have an injury, then your health becomes your immediate, like, to recover from, or to, you know, but then other than that, you might think, oh, I'll exercise tomorrow, I'll eat well tomorrow. So we get to choose being busy, or we get to choose prioritizing other things. And then sometimes happens that incites us to make that other thing a priority.
Yeah, that, you know, that's so key to express that, you know, being able to have the space and the capacity and the team around us to understand what it means to effectively express, like, you know, I apologize, it wasn't a priority, but doesn't mean it's not important. um and learning to, like, not make excuses, because, you know, the word busy can really over dramatize what it is that we're really looking to focus on.
Yeah.
And it also creates a lot of stress in our body, you know, and it creates concern and worry about other people, because typically people that are super busy are actually not making the mark.
Oh, that is so true. I know when I'm super busy, it's because I'm not actually focused and I'm trying to do too much. As you said, trying to satisfy everyone. And it's like, what do I actually want in all of this? And then to slow down, and then how much we can get done when we're focused, as opposed to the hustle or the harriedness of busy.
Yes. And so I wanted to take this moment to, you know, as we're talking about what what is it that we really want to say, where is it that we're really truly looking to go. And there's so many words that we can replace the word busy with that I was just jotting down while we were talking. I wrote down 3 words at least that completely create a different image in your head of understanding what someone's going through. You know, so I wrote down the word occupied. I wrote down the word full, like a full schedule. I wrote down the word productive. And I feel like these are more thought driven words, and they're help us to be more intentional in life. However, it just hasn't been what has been portrayed to us as we become business owners. A lot of people have a very difficult time seeing that an individual is fully in their business because they don't seem so occupied. But, you know, and so people will often sit there and be like, oh, well, I'm busy, you know, working away on my business. And it's like, okay, but what are you busying yourself up with? Because I can't help you when you just say you're busy.
Yes, busy is a very closed off term. Like, I'm busy. I love
Mhm.
occupied, as you suggested. Another one that I don't think made your list that I think of is capacity. I'm at, because the thing is, when I'm at capacity, there's ways I look at it. So I have planned capacity spends. So, like, for today, I podcast with you, I'm taking my daughter to gymnastics, I'm running a call for my group program, and I'm helping my son learn to read. You know, he's reading, we read a book a day. That's my planned capacity. But then unplanned capacity spends can have sick or injured. You know, we could run late, the car could break down, you get some bad news. And when capacity, like, we have crammed too much in or overscheduled ourselves, we don't have any space or room for the invariable unplanned capacity. And then we end up in full-on overwhelm and kind of drop everything. And then, I don't know about you, but I end up in Netflix and eating and thinking, oh, it's just too hard, I'll start again tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's kind of looking at not only your capacity, but what refills your capacity. So for me, going for a walk, doing some stretching, doing some journaling, as much as I'm like, ugh, because like I love it, I teach it, I know the power of it, but I never sit down and want to going on inside my head. but afterwards, it's the refilling. The same as exercise. It's like, oh, I don't want to exercise, I'd rather sit on the couch. I know that stretching and moving my body on the longer term refills my capacity. And I think so many of us, we overbook, overschedule ourselves, don't have any ability for unplanned capacity, and don't even consider what refills our capacity. Like sometimes watching some, bad trashy reality TV and just playing a game on my phone, it refills my capacity. Shame myself. I can do it for one episode and truly enjoy it. It's when I'm unplannedly binging a whole season and then doom scrolling on Facebook, that doesn't refill my capacity at all.
Right. Overconsumption is, that's the busying up of your time.
Yes.
And honestly, being able to just like step into this position of an entrepreneur has been such a rewarding space for me, and that I'm seeing it trickle into my children's life, and it's also helping me to see how I can encourage them to engage with it more, and see how they can be less stressed over it. Because when we're busy, we tend to get very stressed because we are putting so much on our plate. And that's a very old program, an old conditioning that the world is just like letting go of,
Yes.
And so like we want to find something healthy to replace it with, because at the end of the day, we have to, you want to look at it like this. If you spend the day saying I've been busy to at least 10 different topics, you're not really directing your life to the next best place. And we'll be directing, speaking to existence what we desire. I'm a very big advocate at really learning how to identify how can I create more situations that I choose versus than I don't choose. And so like, the very simple thing, like I used to work in the corporate world. So I made sure that before I went to school, I chose a profession that was going to allow me to not have to do too much, to not be too busy. I wanted to make sure I picked a job that's like, oh, they're going to want to cut me. They're not going to want to over busy me. And so, I stepped into the accounting world, and they have like very strict hours. Sometimes, of course, there's certain places that you're never going to get away from overtime. But if you're insightful enough, you can help yourself choose the right steps, the right doors to walk in. But if we put ourselves in the mindset of, oh, because I was already having children going to school, I was a young mom. So if I would have sat there and said, oh, I'm too busy having children, I don't have time to go to school. And where would that have taken my life? I would have been too busy for my success, However, I allowed myself to understand how I wanted to be productive in life, and how I can open up space for myself. And that's what allowed me to, really step into the college world, into that next level of education, while having a young child at the time. And then also I started I had 2 kids while I was in college. So by the time I finished with my bachelor's degree, I already had 3 children. And so life was already becoming very busy for me back then. And it took me a couple of years to just slow down and say, like, what am I doing? Where am I going? And that was when I was getting
Yes.
close to my 30s. And I was like, okay, whatever just happened in my 20s, was I happy? Am I happy with what I did? And if I was so happy with it, do I want to do that again in my 30s? And and so I realized that I had a lot of things on my plate that just weren't really satisfying me. And I was still, even though I was making some minute choices in there, the busy lifestyle was still grabbing hold of me. And it wasn't until I became an advocate for expressing my peaceful nature, because I always had this peaceful nature. And I was like, well, if I'm going to be able to have a peaceful nature, I need to, get educated on how to speak to people, right? Because we we need to have some kind of edification. And so it was stepping into that coaching world that I learned about high performance activities. So I wanted to ask you, Susan, how has high performance skill sets came into your life?
What I loved about what you